I know it's
You're supposed to have a cooking word, man.
I don't think so.
Solid outfit, Sam. Do we start?
Yeah, we're ready to start. We're just waiting for Ella.
Is this thing on?
Everything's on there. It's live streamed.
Oh, okay.
CM2 can see you. Yes, they're watching it live.
Hi, Tao. If you're watching,
They can't hear you, but they can see you. Parents.
oh, they're parents.
Is it not? Is it? Come on. When did you put it on?
Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. We're going to start the TGS Oman Showcase now.
We've been working on a lot of projects that we're really excited to show them to you. We have a lot of content right now. We have a lot of content today. So we're going to get right into it.
All right, so the first presentation you'll get today is from the From Spices to Oil module. They're going to have an audience interactive game that will guide you through the vast ocean of Oman's sailing and maritime history.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to So You Think You Can Sail. Today we are challenging your knowledge on this cultural hub of a nation that is Oman.
Since we arrived in Oman, our group has been focusing mainly on three themes: Oman's trading history, today, and how Oman will use the two to build its future. Today, we will take you through some of our most notable findings by going back in time.
Each team's objective will be to get as many answers right so that their boat, over there, is all set up and moving the furthest.
Listen carefully to the rules and guidelines. First, I will be introducing our judge. Our wonderful Marin. And I'm telling you, she looks sweet and all, but when it comes to the rules, I don't recommend crossing them. She will make sure you are all playing fair, and any attempts to cheat in any way will result in forfeit of the point to the other team. So don't do it.
Now let us explain the guidelines for the competition. We will have two main contestants that will be called captains. They are in charge of making the important decisions. Each captain has a corresponding boat. And because sailing would not be possible without the crew members, each team will have two other volunteers who will help the captains. To answer the question, you must run to the buzzer in the middle, which is over there. Ella's over there, she's holding it up, there she is. For every question answered correctly, you will receive a point. And our experts, Jess and Kane, give a little wave. Yeah! Let's hear a cheer for them. We'll rig one piece of the boat. After your boat is fully rigged, the race will begin. Now, with every point you gain, your boat will be able to move one position, and the one who goes furthest wins.
To summarize, your goal is to correctly answer the questions with the help of your crew. Additionally, we will split the audience in half. And so, from here to there, I'm sorry, you're with Max. From here to here, you're on the winner's side.
So there are two other formats for helping the captains find the answers. Make sure that you're alert to find out throughout the game.
So, can I please have 2 volunteers to take on the honor of being captains? Max, you can have him.
I can have them.
I feel like this is fixed.
So, remember that cheating will not be tolerated to any degree. And there will be consequences. The judge is watching you.
Yeah, you should watch him a little closer.
So, now let us introduce you to contestant number 1. We might as well call them a winner already. You have 15 seconds to tell us your name and something interesting about yourself.
Ina, and I don't sail.
You'll be too.
Your
Okay, I
contestant.
guess. Hi, Master. So say something cool about yourself. Anything. Got this.
My name is Cullen, and
I'm awesome.
I really don't like onions.
Fair.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's
Okay, sweet.
Alright, so now we're gonna need 4 volunteers. 2 for that side and 2 for this side to be the crew members that help this happen. So,
Anybody?
I have Charlotte over here.
Charlotte? Anybody?
Come on, be brave!
Yeah! Let's win this!
We need 2 other volunteers. Come on. The longer you take, the longer we stay here.
Tiffany! Hey! Come on, Tiffany!
Yes, you! Over here!
Let's go!
Alright. We will make our first trip to the past on the traditional Omani ship, the Dhow boat.
Before we get into the first question, the format is going to be Pictionary. In Pictionary, our wonderful crew, round of applause for our crew, yeah? Be drawing pictures of the answer. It's strictly prohibited to use any numbers or words, written or spoken. Our captains will try to decipher their group's images. And so you guys, one,
So one of you will be holding it, the other one will be drawing. You can switch around, but be mindful you have a time limit. So let's get started with the first question. Pay close attention to Max.
so historically speaking, what are these sailboats smuggled? Team who guesses the most items win. And so Alicia is gonna give the cards.
Yeah, so we're gonna be giving you the answers. Ina and Colin cannot look at them.
Yes.
So you will know the answer and you will try to convey it to her on the picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same for you guys.
Yeah, I got it.
Alicia's giving you the answers. Don't look at them because then we'll take a point away.
Yeah.
Alright, so wait.
Wait, don't start.
You have the answers?
You guys have the answer? Yep.
3, 2, 1,
Go!
Pictionary!
You can look now.
You guys look, you can look.
Can we help? Maybe Max, can we help?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Ali, star, sailing.
Beth!
What is it, guys? What do you think it is? What do you think it is? What do you guys think? Jewelry.
Yeah!
Oh.
Okay, so Ina, what was your answer?
Gold.
Do we have to get all 6?
No,
No,
you're
at least you got three.
Okay.
You got 2.
Marijuana, gold, and liquor.
Oh, this is so close
Oh
tie.
my goodness.
That is.
What are we gonna do?
Audience decide. Everybody, correct? Pick to that answer. Narcotics, gold, silver, ivory, and liquor. I'm thinking it goes to that. All right, so Max, can you tell us the backstory of this smuggling?
Sure. Historically, the Dow boat was a symbol of trade and transport, as it brought goods from Africa into Arabia and Persia. With the restrictions of contraband goods, smuggling was a lucrative side business that went unnoticed. During the 19th century, Arabian dhows invaded British anti-slavery patrols and smuggled thousands of slaves into Arabia and Persia. During the 20th century, narcotics, gold, silver, ivory, and liquor were moved from various ports throughout the Indian Ocean.
Due to the Dow boat, Oman's goods, a link was formed with China. And the next activity, you, the audience members, will have a guess by voting for only one of the 4 options that will be displayed on the screen. From Sahara, from China. Yes!
Spice
we
Road.
got it!
No!
Yay!
Hit the buzzer.
Oh!
Yeah. Spice Road.
Pressure now!
Spice Road! Yay! Our team, Jess, move the boat because we got a point. We're winning. Yeah. Yes.
Would you mind giving us some context?
Oh yeah, sorry. The route from Sohar to Guangzhou was called the Spice Road. Spices such as cinnamon, cassia, cardamom, ginger, pepper, and turmeric were known and used in antiquity first in the Eastern world. During the 8th century, a famous navigator of Oman, Abu Ahmad, sailed across the Indian Ocean along the Spice Road and this became the
Man had to offer to the trade market, which made them good thing you've been practicing your skills. And the captain will have to guess. No speaking is permitted, only drawing. Ready for the next question? What physical proof do we have of Omani influence in East Africa? Remember this? Here's the answer. Three, two, one. Draw. No speaking.
No talking, Tiffany.
As long as someone doesn't hear the door about
Guys.
Video evidence.
Is it all graveyard? I don't know what the arrows are, man.
It's a lure and a mouse.
I'm really trying to think in perspective. Fiction. Oh, we're going to a living room. Environment. Yes, yes, see. Yeah, both. Yes, okay. You're there, you're there. No. You're almost there, you're almost there.
Go.
Listen up.
There are mosques in Zanzibar.
That's close, right?
Yeah. The correct answer is Islamic architecture in Zanzibar.
No, but he says Zanzibar. Nice job.
You got it. You got the question.
All right. Now that this has probably got you wondering.
You guys got it. You guys got it. Jess? What?
Wait.
Where's the
Where's the judge?
The judge.
No, Mom's gonna
This
tell us I
one's on
didn't
you.
cheat.
Did they cheat or did they not cheat?
Whoa. They did not cheat. You cheated. There's no. You get the right answer.
I think I have to say they cheated. It's also on me because I didn't call them out enough.
Wait, what did we do?
My mom told the judges calling this.
So, you see what happens when you cheat? We catch out. Okay. Now that this has probably...
Can you tell us so we don't do it again?
Communication which was hearable to color.
Oh, did you hear us?
Let's focus on why this question is important. From the 7th century, merchants, seafarers, and traders from the Arabian Peninsula have been heavily interacting with many nations in the Indian Ocean. Oman has dominated the Indian Ocean's maritime trade during this time. Our earliest Islamic influence upon other nations is the Kisimkasi Mosque on the north end of Zanzibar, which has an inscription dating back to the year 1160, an early form.
Now we'll explore more closely to understand Oman's pre-established links. Shake things up. You captain will have to attempt to throw a dart at the answer. So the question is, our captain, what countries or empires have had a close economic and cultural ties along the Silk Road? So you shall be given. You have to be very. These are very sharp, dangerous.
Yeah, we will only throw it in that direction when you are told to do it. These are professional darts.
And please don't throw it to the boats. Please.
All right.
We have one dart.
You've got one chance.
Wait, no practice. Only get one.
Yeah, if you get one of them, you're
You
right.
have to get one of the many.
Yeah. So there's many countries, many empires.
Ina, stand over here. Can everybody give me some encouragement for Ina? She's been given 10 seconds to look at the map. 6.
We're in it.
Yeah,
Last
I
turn.
know. Whoa. Do you want us to get a point?
Blow the whistle, Myron. Blow it. She don't even know.
Mommy, now.
3, 2. Get a cheer for our team, right? Yes.
Good answer.
So, the answer is ancient Rome, Lebanon, Tanzania, Pakistan, and China.
And I'm discussing with our judge. Ina got the closest. Finally going to our judge. Yeah, bring it up!
Yeah, me too.
Well, Oman's maritime prowess since the 7th century, there was a cross-cultural exchange between these nations, resulting in an ethnically non-homogeneous society within Oman. Oman has had a huge economic and strategic geography, which has made it into a cosmopolitan society, which is influence and culture today.
So, we've been talking about cosmopolitan societies, and we must mention the importance of the Persian Gulf, as it houses one of the most important trade routes on the Gulf and possibly the entire. So, during the next question, we will be using the format called taboo.
Oh no.
So, captains, from now on, you will not be allowed to look at the screen. And the crew will have the answer at the top green box of the screen. And your goal is to communicate that to the captains without using any of the other words on the screen. Once you know the answer, remember you've got to go hit the buzzer. So, the question is, what is the most important trade route of the Persian Gulf? Ready? Set? Explain.
What?
But we can still go.
No, but 1 point will be given to this team.
Oh, whoa, okay.
So you know how it works, Max.
They're guessing the word at the top, right?
Yeah.
Good job, kids.
Something they have. Nope. You have an injured slide, and it's the order. Yeah, I know. They come fast. It's across the present world, and it's red, black, Mediterranean types of trades. What do we eat on the wood? All the red.
You're really enjoying this, aren't you?
Lebanon. No, it's Hummus. Remember the animal back there?
Hummus. Yes.
What is it?
I think it's been confusing enough. You guys can look at the screen to find out the answer. And unfortunately, nobody will be getting a point.
Oh,
Because both
man.
teams cheated. Oh, man.
I'm so sorry.
I could try that. I don't know what that is.
Let me. This is such an important rap. Every day, 30 look at shipping and global. The audience will yell out their estimations. You might be thinking, well, that's a bit chaotic, but that's how it be sometimes out in the sea. Based on that, the captain will decide on the final answer. However, participants can reject the audience's answer if they choose to. So, ready for the answer? Ready for the question? Yeah. You audience members will have to scream out at the captains because they haven't been confused enough. What do you think the answer is? How much has China invested in Oman with the Belt and Road Initiative?
$63 billion.
You have 30 seconds to decide the answer. You had
say a higher number.
Just say 9.
Price is right.
5. Not that one. 5 billion. Help you?
Okay, so the correct answer was $39 billion.
You said 8 billion.
That we are according to that which helps the infrastructure in the southern region of Oman. The BRI includes 71 different encompasses half of the world's population, higher world's GDP.
That was our last question, everyone. For our contest.
Waiting for Maren, who will be doing some careful calculations to figure out who the winner is.
She's an expert.
Hey,
She's never done this before, guys.
whoa, she's a master.
Sorry. No.
We are cheating.
Make some space. Clear that area.
No matter what.
I wonder who it is.
After careful examination of the position of the votes, a lot of calculations, I have to announce that the winner of today's competition is Team
You want to bet? Yes! We shall win!
So, come back over here. We still have one thing left. There is last question. Exploring for the past week, and we would like you to give us some insight. How is sailing history? Now, I want you questions in regards to everything that we all went through. And we want for each team to draw or write about Oman's bright future. To clarify, you have to answer the question through this collaborative brainstorm. And use its sailing history to shape its future. Each kept 5 audience members to help them out. You can gain some inspiration from a reflection regarding that question. We hope to see Oman continue to use its rich maritime history to remind Omanis of their origins that make them the diverse group that they are proud of being today. We have understood the value of initiatives such as Oman Sail and have great expectations for how they will continue to enrich the growth of individuals in this country in order to generate an even stronger whole. We are excited to have experienced Oman's intentions for peaceful and friendly international relations, and we will take these stories back home to make sure the world knows. So, you have 2 minutes to draw this out. Go.
I have to draw it?
Yeah, everybody can join us. Everybody can join
Can you
us.
help me? Can you help me? And you can help me. No, you. Yeah.
Give it a
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. You very smart.
Este samba que é misto de mata, é samba de preto velho, samba de preto. Nada, um samba como esse tão legal, você não vai querer que chegue no final.
All right, everybody. So let's take a look at these art pieces. They are very nice, but there is still some blank space, and that's why we would like all of you to help us out. So we're gonna be setting up a booth over there, and you can step over to add your insight. There will be markers for you to use, so don't be shy, and we'll see you there. So,
Thank you for coming to this extraordinary event. Thank you. Thank you for coming out.
thank you, everybody.
Try it.
Okay, so
Cullen.
next up,
Cullen. Talk.
So next up we have Paula from Mexico. She's gonna be giving a presentation on her personal project.
The past couple months in Oman, and I think even more, 6 months or so, I've been looking into the brain, doing some research, and my objective was to learn general things about the brain, but being able to see it myself. Can we change the slide?
Yep.
So why the brain? What's specifically my goal? I want to learn about the brain, seeing my brain. That sounds very weird and creepy, but it really isn't. I found a program and a headset that I'll talk about in a bit that can show you a 3D representation on your computer software about your brain life. So I wanted to learn different parts of the brain and different waves through my brain. Why I chose the brain? Because it's the most complex organ, and it's amazing how we depend on the brain. We are basically our own brains. We're also different, yet our brain doesn't know anything about itself. We only use a really small percentage of it. So I wanted to try that out, and the experiment that I did this term was to try out the headset that I'm holding, this one, because that's the one that I've been like training and playing with. For the next one. So how was I going to do this? That same headset's the one that I'm holding, and it's an electroencephalogram. I'm not sure if I said that right, but it's also an EEG data collector, which means it can do different things, but it gets it can measure both changes from ionic current flows within the neurons of our brains. has 16 sensors that they're wet. You just put them in your head, get them to touch your scalp, and then it will record the electrical activity that's going on. It has many purposes. People use it to learn and teach. People use it going on. It has many purposes. People use it to learn and teach. People use it to research. Medicine in hospitals is used, and also for recovery or just for fun. So the idea was to focus more on neurofeedback. And in a way, our brain has this amazing ability where using one of these headsets, you can specifically see some of the neuronal connections that you're creating and in which areas of the brain and what that means, so how they're making you react, how they're making you feel. So for a very strong trauma or have a very strong mental disorder, this headset can help them change or monitor it by training with a little cube in my laptop. But they're all different and very picky. It takes all the time effort, and I didn't really have a specific on an experiment that I could do with my peers and see their brains. Okay. Can you continue? Yeah.
Whose brain's that?
And that's basically a brain turning those different colors. I'll explain what they are in a second. Can you go back to the slide? The next one? Yeah. So what those colors, each brainwave means different things. So the 5 brainwaves that we have go from delta, so delta, theta. I'm sure that's how you pronounce it right in English. But they each represent a different emotion, a different state. And from gamma waves, that are the waves that you get most rarely when you're meditating, to beta waves, which are when you're active and paying attention, judging, trying to solve problems, or alpha waves that are a bit more chill when you're like watching Netflix or reading a book. Those are the waves that make you feel more calm. Then there's also theta waves, which are when you're sleeping or your creative waves. So they're not always there, but they're more common to have them like through the day. How did this relate to those little smiley faces? They relate to emotions. Emotions are what drives most people and most humans to do things. It motivates us. And what is an emotion? That's quite subjective, but psychology defines it as a physiological reaction mixed with a cognitive reaction. So physiological means brainwaves and those neuronal connections that happen in our brain. And then the cognitive reaction relates to like our experience, what we've been through, and where we want to go. Next one. So none of this would really make sense if we don't really know anything about the brain, like at least I did. I didn't. So just a quick review. This brain is looking as if you're looking like me that way. So the frontal lobe, can I not use the mic? Can everybody hear me?
No. Yeah.
No? Okay. Thank you. Hold this. Thank you. So the frontal lobe, that's this part. It's more for our human skills. So that's our language, our judgment, empathy, kindness, and at the same time that we move in groups. Then the temporal lobe, it focuses on interpreting the auditory feeling, the auditory information that we get, and putting together those physiological components and the cognitive ones. So basically that interprets how we'll react. Then there's above it, the parietal lobe, that interprets the sensations, and it gives us like a sense of space. So how far things are, if we can stand, or what's going on basically in space-wise and physically. The occipital lobe, that's in the back, focuses more on visuals, and then the cerebellum focuses on like our posture, our balance, how we move, and then the spinal cord or the brainstem just connects all that information that moves from one part of the brain to the other super fast, gets it to the rest of the body so we can actually act on it. Okay, next. So what I did, I decided to focus on fear and surprise for my experiment. I wanted to test the headset, like I said, because I had been relying on the information that the website had given me, and I was like, oh yeah, they say it works, and I've read their studies, so I believe them.
and I still do, but I just wanted to try it myself and see how I could see those results on other people my age that live with me. And the easiest way to do this are with the two of the most primitive reactions and emotions, being fear and surprise. These are very visual emotions. You can just look at somebody and know that they're afraid or know that they're surprised, and that could help me match up the graphs that the program will give me with their visuals. And how I did this changed through the whole term. I was gonna use like the diagram that I showed you earlier that just had like a bunch of colors in the brain. I wanted to find a way to quantify that and then being able to do my own like algorithm and interpret it. But I realized I'm not qualified for that because I'm not an expert on the topic. So it would not make sense if I wanted to do a study. And I used another part of the program that will just give some graphs that I'll explain in a second. I had 7 volunteers, but for different reasons and some areas of improvement, I will only be using the data of 3 of them. And we'll go through the results. This is the stimulus that they were exposed to. It's like 40 seconds. There's a scary pop-up, just like big spoiler because I don't want anybody to like freak out. Ina? You wanna like move a little bit forward? Just because it's a bit longer. Well, that same reaction that you all had, maybe not as much because I told you there was going to be a scary pop-up and you expected it. I did not tell the people that I was doing the experiment. And so I could see their genuine reaction, their facial expressions, and that way information wouldn't be as biased. Can you go to the next one? So my hypothesis was that if a subject experienced a reaction of fear and surprise, then the the graphs would correlate with the time that their facial reactions could be seen, and the interest, focus, and excitement levels would go up, while the relaxation levels would go down in like a 30-second graph. The question that drove this whole project was if the emotive about like the headset collector was sensitive enough to catch this, because I'm sure the response is there, but this technology is like for the home version, let's say. So if you go to a hospital, it would be way more exact, but I just want to see how exact this actually was compared to the information that they were giving to me on the website. So the graph that you're going to see, I'm going to show you later the videos. This was my brain when I was reading and the headset was brand new. And you can see how it reads, there's 2 graphs, one every 30 seconds and another one every 300 seconds. So you can see the whole, how it's changing and hear more specific moments. And it measures interest, engagement, stress, relaxation, excitement, and focus. How does it do this? I'm not sure, because it's a program that comes with a headset, and when I tried looking into it and asked the company, they said the information is confidential because it's just confidential because they don't want to share that. And I did not have the program to get the raw data and interpret it myself, but based on my research, what I've come to assume of how they read this is depending on the brain waves and which brainwave is more dominant in certain areas of the brain and what other brainwaves are around that area and that specific moment, that the headset can register all that information, send it into a software, and then that will put it into this pretty graph for me to understand it better. Another very important thing that we'll do is that you can see will be the facial expressions. Those exist linked to the autonomic nervous system that basically controls all our unconscious reactions. So when you're afraid, that you open on where you're very tired and you just close your eyes. Those are all actions that you can't really control, but there's a reason for them. Many of them are primitive reactions that help survival. And the ones that we'll see, it divides into 2 sections, either sympathetic or parasympathetic. Sympathetic reactions are when you need a physical response. You have to run, you have to find something. It's very focused, while parasympathetic is more relaxed and calm.
So the facial expressions that you see are autonomic nervous system sympathetic reactions, and those are like in that picture that there's big eyes, high eyebrows, and they all are there for a reason, again, for like survival mostly, and we still have them because it's still a part of how we survive here. And those are very clear in many people. In other people, depending on the culture or some other factors, it might not be as clear or as visual to see them. But just look out for those. So I'm going to show you first the video, the 3 videos of the trials that I made. And you can see the video that they're watching. You've seen the video, hear the graph and what's going on, and then you can start with that. And then their visual, their facial reaction, and then I'll go into more detail. So as you can see, right at when her eyes popped open and she was like, whoa, before she closed her eyes, she had that nerve. That's what she's giving me a glare of, like, why would you do that to her? But before then, she was very open, but then she realized another part of her brain came in and said, like, oh, it's just a computer, just a laptop, like, I can close my eyes and it'll go away. And that could be a response that she had. Next one.
So calm.
You can see the exact same thing. The graphs are quite different. On Karina, you can see some focus changes, and her excitement also changes, even if it doesn't exactly correlate with the video. That could also be for some like delay that it has from the machine to the Bluetooth to the computer and how it's interpreted. There's many other factors that could influence, but you also saw her autonomic nervous system react like scared and backing off, and she also gave me a glare of like stop.
She'll kill you.
And the last trial that I used. Big reaction towards it. Why? I'm not sure. Her brain was like, everything was working fine. Just she did not show. Maybe she watches many scary movies that she was expecting that, or she might have heard from somebody else. She was also one of the last ones. So that's just very interesting how you can see how Julia decided to like close up and close her eyes. Well, Karina just turned at me and was like, really? And Maren just was like, okay, that's it. Do you want to go to the next slide? So let me put that into some more simple graphs so you can kind of understand what I was trying to say. So this is Karina's reaction, and I took the before, like 5 seconds before I saw her facial reaction. I matched both of those videos, and I recorded the data every second for the 5 seconds before and the 5 seconds after. Would that mean that the data was still increasing or it was just there? And these are the results divided. So you can see how definitely her interest increased quite a lot, and so did her excitement. But her focus was pretty much the same. She was just still watching the video. And then in another one of the trials that's with Maren, you can see how it's basically the same graph, except her excitement levels did go up a little bit. That might have been because there were other people in the room or for other reasons, but that's another way of putting it. Can you go to the next one? Now this one, I decided to do an average and go all those 3 results of all those data points, average them out, and put them together in 2 separate graphs, the same thing. And to see this basically shows me if my hypothesis was right or no. Of course, this is a very small scale project, but as you can see, their focus level average stayed pretty much the same, but both interest and excitement did go up. So what does this actually mean? Again, this is the hypothesis that I had stated in the beginning, and
for the parts of interest and excitement, the hypothesis was correct, but as of focus and the relaxation levels decreasing, that was incorrect, or not being able to see it. A big issue with this study is out of 7 people that I sampled, I only gathered the data correctly for 3 of them, so that gives me a very, very small point data collection and experiment in general. So if you want to do it again, I'd have to do it with a way bigger group. I'm not sure if I can do it here, because now everybody, every time I show them a video, will probably think I'm going to scare them. But a bigger group with people who have a bit more experience with the headset probably, or the newer headset that does not have any oxidation, because mine had a little bit of that. And the data, collecting data and data analysis is the same thing that I was calculating it visually. So can you go to one of the videos? Just show it very fast how I did it. It can be any. Yeah. So here it had the graph and it's every 0.2, and this was in my laptop, but because I didn't have any way of measuring it and I wanted to measure every second, I had to put Post-its on this side of my laptop to match that side. So my data collection was definitely not the most accurate, and that's something that I would definitely do better next time. And then there's a bunch of other things that I would not know here when all of us come from very different cultures and countries. There can be people like Julia that have a very strong reaction, or people like Maren that have a little to non-reaction. I'm sorry I put you guys on the spot. I hope you guys learned something cool about your brains, or about your own brains, or other people's brains, because I definitely learned a lot about my own brain and your guys' brain.
Next up is Scuba Squad. They created a website about sustainable tourism within Oman, and they're going to give you a presentation on what they learned.
$18 meters. That's how far we were underwater. When you're that far, when you're that deep, you essentially forget about the surface. All that you can remember is, or all that you can see is just little ripples just above you. Down there, there's a magnificent coral, this incredible reef life that sustains many, many, many different species of marine life. It's incredible, but it's being destroyed as a result of our own anthropogenic forces. But we can regenerate it. We can help this grow back to normal. But we have to use sustainable practices, especially with tourism. So our module this term was focused on increasing tourism to Oman, especially sustainable tourism, as Oman's oil supply dwindles and moves into a post-oil economy. So to guide our research, we use the driving question: how can we use science to inspire passion for sustainable marine tourism in Oman? So to display our findings, we created a website that focuses on increasing sustainable tourism within Oman.
So, why Oman and why sustainably? Oman's moving closer to a post-oil economy, and its future will be shifting towards mining, fishing, or tourism. We believe that the main goal right now shouldn't be like generating revenue, but it should be where the money goes. Amongst those three, our focus is on tourism because we believe that on the long term, tourism will have less consequences than mining or fishing. Oman's fish biodiversity and richness in marine life is already a huge advantage in the tourism sector regarding the global market. Fish biodiversity refers to the variety of fish in a particular habitat. I just lost my train of thought, sorry. We think tourism is good. No fishing, no mining. Oman is rich and fish biodiversity. Oh, okay. Yeah. Listen. So, simply by being a tourist in Oman, you can be sustainable. Listen to me. Like, for example, if coral reef tourism increases, coral reefs can be an asset. Why is that important? Well, coral reefs are amazing. They're significantly powerful contributors to the ecosystem, therefore very vital to humans as well. If tourism increases, first of all, coral reefs also bring a lot of revenue from tourism, but also that gives us an opportunity to emphasize the importance of protecting them.
So, because the experiences we've had here have been so impactful, we wanted to share them with a wider audience by creating a website that you can see here. The website fulfills three main goals. It attracts tourists, it informs on aquatic biodiversity of Oman, and it promotes sustainable practices. Come see our website and our booth over there, where you can see the mannequin with the diving gear on. So the first goal of our website was to attract international tourists to come to Oman and to experience its natural beauty and to participate in the activities that are offered here, such as sailing, diving, snorkeling. And as a group, we've created a list of hotels, dive spots, and tips that anyone who might want to come to Oman can use. And we decided to focus on international tourists instead of locals, just because we're visitors here as well, and we thought that we will be able to provide more valuable insight into what they can see and do here.
Thanks, Celia. Next slide. So the second goal of our website was to inform on the aquatic biodiversity of Oman. As Ina said, that's just the difference in sea life. Now, however, to do this, we didn't want to only have on our website facts that we took from the internet and also Google Photos, because that would be quite boring. So we wanted to do our own study, and this is where the scuba diving actually came in. So to set up our own study, we went out to the Dominion Islands, which are about a 45-minute boat ride that way. They're a beautiful marine protected reef area, and when we got there, we set up our own transect study. So a transect study is a globally recognized way of counting animals. It's just a certain way to set up a study if you're specifically trying to count animals. It's where you set up a pre-planned path and you follow that path and count the animals you see along it, and then you get a lot of raw data from that you can later analyze. We're actually really lucky in Botswana. This is the same kind of method that we used in Botswana, so we had a lot of experience with it. However, it is a lot harder to count animals underwater. To give you the basics of what we had to do to prepare ourselves for this study, first we had to learn how to scuba dive. Out of our 9 dives in total, the first 4 were just to get our certification, and then from there we only had a couple more to prepare before we actually had to do this study. On top of that, everybody has to know the plan really well. The truth is, if you're breathing from a tank at the bottom of the ocean, you can't talk to anyone. You can't talk to anyone at all. So everybody has to know the plan beforehand and has to know how to deal with potential problems that arise. And finally, there's a lot of new gear that you have to learn how to use. If you tried to just remember all the fish you saw, you would not do a good job. So there was a lot that we had on our table, on our plate. When we went down there, that we had to do to make our study successful. In hindsight, we think there are a lot of recommendations we would make to future groups doing the same study. However, we did get a lot of data for the Dominion Island area, and we were able to do a lot with that for our website.
That's Dominion Islands. You can continue. Yeah, graphs. Okay, so we chose to present our findings through graphs. I'll move this way, it makes more sense. So first of all, we calculated fish spotted per every meter swam for 4 different fish families. Our calculation method was fish encountered per distance covered rather than per square or cubic meter, because we thought that way of measuring would be more meaningful for prospective tourists coming to Oman. Our value that we got from our data is, you see, 3.34 fishes per every meter swam. Moving on to measuring coral health, we came up with our own way of measuring coral health. We took underwater photos of corals and during the transect study, and so we measured the average of CCA, hard coral, and non-coral area. What is CCA? CCA is this type of algae that helps keep reefs healthy after bleaching occurs. Our data findings tell that 64% of the area that was surveyed in the Dominion Islands is coral. Yes.
All right, so given our findings, it is essential that we promote the sustainable practices and growth of our coral ecosystems in Oman. So the reason that it's so important is because when the reefs are healthy and they're beautiful, ideally, of course, tourists will want to come to Oman. As tourists come to Oman, the economy will boom, and as the economy as the GDP increases, the government will have enough money to put back into the coral reefs and sustaining and increasing tourism as well. So to promote sustainable tourism on our website, we've dedicated an entire section to promoting sustainable practices. So part of the section is where we have how to be sustainable in the water, so while scuba diving. So examples of this are, we talk about don't touch the fish, do not touch the corals, and we explain why. We also have a section dedicated to, or a part of the section dedicated to how to be sustainable out of the water. So don't use straws, here's why. What to order at restaurants, how to be sustainable at restaurants. And the third part of this section is we also explain, or we also give an example of a sustainable packing list. So for tourists to be able to pack sustainably and not litter when they come to Oman.
To sum up, during this term, we learn about marine ecology, sustainable tourism, performing scientific studies underwater, and of course, diving. We want to share this through our website. Just to remind you, it's 3 main goals: were to attract tourists to come to Oman, to inform on aquatic biodiversity, and to promote sustainable practices. Come see our booth. We're going to present no, you'll be able to try out diving gear and how to breathe underwater. So that's gonna be pretty cool. Thank you for listening. We hope you learned something from our presentation.
All right. Next up, we have Izzy from Malaysia. She's going to show us a pretty awesome video. She's going to be making the video for the seniors at the end of this year. And so she's been working on this one for Oman.
Hi, I'm Izzy. Yeah, as Cullen said, one of my personal projects is a videography project, and so Oman pretty much is one of the most beautiful countries that I've ever been to in the world, and it's almost dreamlike, which is where I got the inspiration for this video. I hope you all enjoy.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And you would, naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure you could conceive. And after several nights of 75 years of total pleasure each, you would say, well, that was pretty great. But now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control. Well, something is going to happen to me that I don't know what it's going to be. And you would dig that and come out of that and say, wow, that was a close shave, wasn't it? Then you would get more and more adventurous, and you would make further and further out gambles as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now.
So next up we have Riley. She has been working on her poetry project for about 3 terms now and is happy to present a spoken word poem for you today.
This poem is called In One Word. Begin. Lasting families created 15 years in. Not yet understood feelings unsecured of who we would be and what we would become. Begin. Loud as airplane engines nearly outroaring the suspension of this new direction that I came into with no intention of running out of time. But it seems I did. Because in no time, these beginnings became noise. Not as silent as deadly. Slowly slipping into our minds as one would slowly slip into a onesie. After 30 plus hours of flight, at 3 a.m. with a lesser known friend who would quickly become a godsend that could with one touch mend all of these split ends that were really just unknown superpowers. Noise, constant and unwavering in forms of awakening colors, screaming personalities and car horns. Complex as finding infinity in a photograph. And still the noise has not subsided, but not far traveled, because within the same continent, silence. Loud as the aftermath of an atomic bomb. The storm before the calm because of the nothingness left behind in the silence. Kept for 70 years. The noise absorbed by the history of all the electricity in the only silent big city I have seen. I never knew my love could be so loud for a city so quite silent. Silence, broken by the alarm clock. Silence, broken by the alarm clock. Results in the colonoscopy that our dear humanity has been dying for our vanity has taken control of our sanity. Result in the inhumanity of our now second nature ability to laugh at the fatalities we are all but blind to. I guess alarm clocks now do not seem so alarming.
All right, so next up we have the third of our 3 modules, Belonging in Oman. Through looking at social sciences and art, they created a graphic novel based on what it means to belong in Oman.
Okay, well, hello everyone. We are the Belonging module, and for this term we explored the question, what does it mean to belong in Oman?
Okay, so next slide. Our module was looking at a combination of social sciences and art. So for the more social sciencey aspect, first of all, in our online learning, we read a text focusing kind of on the evolutionary psychology behind belonging and why we have these urges to belong, what they mean in like a survival kind of sense. That was really interesting. We also had the chance to participate in a Socratic seminar, so basically just like a discussion but fancier, on topics such as the ethicality of the hijab and what it means to have faith or to act with reason. And we also had the opportunity to go to the Oman National Museum and a living museum, not a living museum in like a horror movie way, but a living museum in the sense that you get to see what it would have been like to live in Oman maybe 300 years ago.
So the week before we came to Oman, we learned a few basic techniques of how to draw and how to implement those techniques into our final product, which was our graphic novel. So first we learned how to draw shapes, so simple geometric shapes in 3D, and we learned how to shape them. And furthermore, we learned how to draw characters, so their faces with their facial features, very basic. And after that, we came to Oman and we met Ifathaj in the RZ Art Studios, and we started to learn how to draw a character uniquely. So we learned how to make a character lineup where each character supposedly would stand in each section like we do, and something about us would stand out uniquely, and shadowing so that like it stands out more, and what those shapes of our silhouettes signify. So for instance, if one character's face is triangularly shaped, it's often connotated with the symbol of evil, as an evil character, or if it's a square shaped, then it is connotated with a heroic character. And furthermore, we learned about how to draw the environment. So we learned how to utilize the 1-point perspective and the 2-point perspective in drawing our environments, as you will see in our graphic novel that is being implemented.
Can we get a slide change?
So one thing that ended up informing a lot of our graphic novel was our We Explore. That was quite the trip, let me tell you about that. Alright, so let's run through our schedule every day on the We Explore. 4:30 a.m. Karen wakes you up. You tear down your tents, even though you're quite tired, put on your sunscreen even though the sun's not out yet, and you make breakfast. You pack up the cars, and then you put on your sand socks. What are sand socks, you ask? Well, if you remember from when we went out to the sands on orientation, bit hard to walk in, especially if you're wearing tennis shoes. And then a bunch of sand get in your tennis shoes and you just have a bad time. But you can't go barefoot because in the middle of the day, the sand's gonna get way too hot and you'll have burnt feet. So what do? You wear wool socks in the desert. Sand socks. There you go. So we hiked from about 6 to 10. There was one day when we were feeling particularly stupid and hiked from 10 to 12. That is a no-go because it is way too hot. So for the other days, we learned our lesson, and from 10 till 3, we napped. And ate lunch and sketched and talked, but mostly napped. It's an amazing schedule, I would recommend it. Then, back to hiking from 3 to 6. We'd have dinner then, and again, if we were feeling a little bit idiotic, we'd hike after dark too. That was quite the experience. I wouldn't recommend hiking in the dark unless you've got really good headlamps, which we did not have. A little bit disorienting. And then after that, we would set up camp, all pitch in on pitching the tents, and then we would have a discussion with our instructors who would tell us more about their perspectives on Oman. So I think we'll go ahead and share something that we learned from the instructors just down the line.
One of my favorite things that I learned was how to navigate using both a GPS and also the environment around me.
I learned a lot about the different, things you can be and still call yourself Omani, especially being an Omani from the city and an Omani from the desert.
Similar to Ava about Bedouin culture and what life in the desert's really like.
One of the sessions during the night I learned about was on how the Sultan brought Omanis back from different countries back to Oman. So that's one thing that really stuck out to me.
And I've learned how how Omanis interact with each other when I'm feeling different kinds of emotions. So let's say when I'm sad, they'll come and comfort me. Even though we've been not meeting for too long, and that's a really nice thing that I found out about Oman.
We also have a video. This one's dedicated to the camera that got sand in it and now doesn't work, so this one's for you. Some may say that it's better than the other module video. Some may say that it isn't. It's up to you guys.
hasret olmazsa bir de cana can katan o sevdan olmaz. Bravo! Sevdan olmazsa bir de cana can katan o sevdan olmazsa sevdan ol. Ready? Ah bu hayat çekilmez.
So from this module, our final product is a collection of graphic novels to answer our driving question, what does it mean to belong in Oman? So in order for us to produce this graphic novel, we went through a few steps that we've learned throughout this module. So first, we started from doing character design using what we've learned, such as character tags, how to make characters stand out, using shapes and also colors. And from that, we created a basic storyline that will be used like throughout the process of making this. And so after we have a rough storyline, we start to solidify it and put in our characters and things that we've designed and have learned from Oman. And then after we have our sketch finalized, we start going into the step of making it into a real graphic novel with like pens. So there's a few techniques of doing that, from using a computer to just using a light box. And then after we have that, we use several techniques for coloring that we have also learned, such as using watercolor and using black ink, and also using markers for colors. And after that, we learn how to write the author's notes, and we also have an introduction and also a cover page. And we also learn how to put all the comics together in InDesign as well.
So these were some of our these were some of our sketches before we learned how to do art. And as you can tell, none of us really started off at a high level, if any level at all. But luckily, this module was a lot about feedback and learning a new skill. And so you can see that after, these are some action shots of us making our graphic novels, and some of the final, you can tell that we improved. And you can see our final ones at our booth over there. Do this.
Should we go? I'll give a teaser.
So my graphic novel is about a taboo in Omani culture explored through an encounter between a local and a foreigner.
Mine is about coming home after being away for a long time.
Mine is about a father and a son and generational cultural differences.
Mine is about a Bedouin and his 2 goats, and one day they go missing.
And mine is about being lost in a place that you don't know and finding a peace of mind with a stranger that comes to help you.
So yeah, please check it out at our module. Thank you.
Just before these guys go, Gareth. I know Outward Bound is not here, but Outward Bound we were lucky enough to have this 71 kilometers that we did with Outward Bound. There was some ups and downs, some really lows and some really highs, and there was some injuries. Gareth, do you want to say anything else?
We are alive today thanks to 2 men who aren't here, but we'd like to thank them very much. Anyway.
That's Mohammed and Yusuf. They looked after us with all the ups and downs. Some people, in fact, everybody had their moments and their times when there was either injuries or it was a mental struggle. But anyway, they gave us something to give to the team for their accomplishment. I'm going to read it. Excuse me if I don't read it properly. But it says, this is from Outward Bound Oman to certify that whoever the names that we're going to say in a minute has completed an Outward Bound Oman Shakir Desert crossing and cultural program. So just call out the names.
Okay, our first name is the Pasacorn Atriculapowarodon, aka Muck. Muck, if you come up here, you'll get a special prize. Oh, there he is. Great. While we wait for him, Corinna Olsen. Then we have Ava Pluckelman. Muck. And then we have Tueva Yang, aka Harry. And last but not least, Amelie. Thank you very much.
Okay, so next we're gonna have a trailer for the podcast that is called Queries, that's being created by Charlotte and Jess.
Welcome to Queries, a podcast produced and written by Jess Pegram and Charlotte Stecker.
Queries is a podcast made for people who want to open their minds to others' ideas, religions, and lifestyles. This is for the people who want to gain a new understanding from locations all around the globe. We're all human. What makes us different? We were lucky enough to have had an interview with an Omani woman who could chat to us about her perception of gender equality in her own country. What you're about to hear is that conversation.
But you see a lot of women in high positions, whether it's in the oil industry, in the tourism industry, people are finally accepting it. They don't have to hide behind a man type of thing. Their voices are heard, they're moving the country forward. With that said, you have a lot of the small and medium enterprises run by women. Everybody likes their own little home business type thing, and it's booming. And it's, finding jobs here can be challenging, so a lot of people resorted to opening up their own businesses, and a lot of women would rather run their own businesses than sit in an office.
If you would like to hear more of this, visit our booth, Queries with Jess and Charlotte.
Next up, we have Soen. She's been working on her evolutionary biology project for about 2 terms now, and will now give you a presentation on gender plasticity. We'll now call up Soen or any Soen impersonators.
Hello. Before we start, can we turn off the light a little bit? Because, yeah. Thank you. Cool. So I'm going to talk a little bit about gender plasticity of marine species, especially fishes. And it's a multi-layered approach, so we'll have to go into each step of it, and it's about 15 minutes straight. So let's get into it. So we're today here in Oman, facing the 2,000-kilometer extended shoreline, looking into the Arabian Sea. And much of the inland is in fact desert, actually about 85%. And if you're a curious individual looking for a vast array of species, rainbow, like different fishes and stuff, you are likely to look into ocean rather than the other side. And that is why we're going to talk a little bit about fishes today. So there are 33,000 different fish species approximately identified until now, and we're finding new species every day. And this is a vast amount of variety compared to all the other life forms. For example, all the other vertebrates, such as birds, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, all combined together, it doesn't have as much diversity as fishes have in their, just within the fish species. And so why could that be? What's the reason for this? Well, it's a time. So they've been around for 500 million years, and that's way longer than our 200 million history of mammal life. And this time creates variation. It's quite like a tree branching itself, so you start off with a little variation, and those variation you have then creates a bigger variation, and at the end you get something that looks like a huge tree of a whole bunch of branches created by time and selection. And where this variation or the occurrence of variation is most observable is usually a microhabitat where you can find different environment offered within it. And this phenomenon of occurring variation is called adaptive radiation. So we're gonna look into a prime example of how that happened. So this is a symbolic example of adaptive radiation on the cichlid fish family of Lake Tanganyika. So cichlid is a fish family that's almost endemic to Lake Tanganyika. And there are more than 250 species of just cichlid in Lake Tanganyika. And Lake Tanganyika, of course, is also a pretty special lake. It's the second oldest freshwater lake in the world, and it's been around for around 9 to 12 million years. It's located in East Africa. So if we look into this diagram, you can see that this here, sorry, and this right here is where the diversity starts to emerge. And as the time passes by, so it gets spreaded, and as the time passes by, you can see that there are more variation appearing, and at the end, you get something that you see on the edge of this diagram, like a vast variation of different life forms, all of them which are different species, even though they're within the same fish family. So this does happen in many other places as well, but as the reason that Lake Tanganyika is especially special and it's especially observable in this particular environment is because the vast ecological niches that it offers. In other words, if you don't understand, we can also call it a potential or a possible area where we can specialize. That's all niche. So we'll look into what is so special about this lake. So this is a temperature map of the Lake Tanganyika. As you can see, different colors signifies different water temperature within different parts of the lake. And in the parts of the lake where the temperature is lowest, it goes down as low as 24 degrees Celsius, while the hotter part of the lake goes up to almost 30 degrees Celsius. And this variance is a very huge difference considering it's a marine aquatic environment. And not only does temperature varies hugely in this lake, but also the depth of the lake in different parts. This is also the map of the same lake. You can see that there are parts that colored with lighter blue and the parts that are colored with darker blue. And darker blue parts represent deeper parts. And it varies from 24-meter where it's shallowest all the way up to 1.2 kilometer where it's deepest in the lake. So all these, not only just depth and temperature, but there can be many other variations as well, varieties as well that can occur from, for example, different vegetation, different types of grass that you find around different parts of the lake, or the different nutrients that's available in different parts, or there can be many different variables that plays into this. And in the result of that, we see something like what we saw in the diagram earlier. And this variety manifests itself not only in a physical way that's easily observable, for example, like the size differences between fishes, the color differences, how they obviously behave differently, but also in other ways that's more subtle and that's harder to observe unless we pay close attention to. And one of them is what I'm going to talk about mainly today, and that is gender plasticity of fishes. So fishes are very, very flexible with their gender compared to other life forms. They exhibit many different gender determination system compared to us, and that includes what's called gonochorism, another one called hermaphroditism, which both of us I'm going to talk about right now. And so what is gonochorism? Gonochorism is a system in which you only experience one gender in your entire lifetime. So you're either born as male or female, and you are stuck with it your entire lifetime. So this system is something that we might be somewhat familiar with, but it's certainly not the only system that we can observe within fishes. So they exhibit something else, which is called hermaphroditism. So this, as opposed to gonochorism, is a system where you experience more than one gender within your lifetime. And there are many categories within it. So there are simultaneous one, sequential one, bidirectional one. Don't worry, I'm going to explain. So the simultaneous one, as you might have suggested from the name, is when you experience both male gender and female gender at the same time simultaneously. And the sequential one, also, you might have suggested, you get to experience more than one gender, shifting from one gender to another in sequence, one after another. And within that, you can find protandrous one, where you go from male to female, like the clownfish right here, or a protogynous one, where you go from female to male, like the parrotfish you can find right here. So, yeah, that sounds very simple, but let me put it in a social context, maybe, in case of this parrotfish. So in a parrotfish society, alpha male owns a harem of multiple females, and for some reason, when alpha male dies, one of the biggest female out of the harem turns into a male over the course of time and becomes a new alpha male and continues the harem. And this kind of system is actually not very common, but you can find many of this sort of system in the nature. Yeah, so that was just an example to give you an idea of like, for you to be familiar with. And yeah, the last system. So we went through gonochorism, hermaphroditism, and within that, this is the last form of hermaphroditism, which is a bidirectional one. As you can suggest in the visual, in this system, you go from male to female or female to male and back to where you are multiple times, like back and forth, depending on what the environment demands. And the example of that would be this little yellow fish here. That's very cute. It's called the goby fish that lives in a coral reef. Actually, the previous two fishes also live in coral reef, but yeah. So all these hermaphrodites combined together consist only about 2% of the entire fish species. But what's really interesting is that if we talk about within a coral reef ecosystem, it's actually not just 2%, but it's 25%, more than 25%. So more than a quarter of all fishes in the coral reef habitat is actually a sequential hermaphrodites that go from one gender to another. So that's just an interesting fact. And so this is all like really cool and exotic, something we didn't know before maybe. But why does it matter? Like, does it have to do something with their survival perspective? Is this something urgent, or do they depend on I don't know, how they change their gender? Like, why do we have to care about it? Well, yeah, it is a very important factor in their survival as an individual and as a species. And it actually has something to do deeply with a phenomenon that we are responsible for, and that is climate change. So to understand why climate change actually affects fish's gender system and whether or not they will survive in the future, we have to understand first how their gender determination system works. So the reason they are so flexible with their gender and they have multiple different systems of gender determination is because the way the physicality of how it works is different from us mammals. So for like us humans or chimpanzees or, for example, lions, we determine our gender by what chromosome we get from our parents. But for fishes, it's not like that. So they're deeply affected by temperature, and temperature can potentially change their gender, unlike us. For us, we're born with chromosome, and it's very hard to change once you were born. So how does temperature affect fish in terms of their gender? Of course, it doesn't just turn fish from male to female randomly because it's hot, but it does trigger something else, which then triggers their hormone, which then triggers them to change their gender. And that is enzyme. So there's this one special enzyme called aromatase. It's an enzyme that changes the molecular structure of testosterone into estrogen. Just so you know, testosterone is a male sexual hormone, and estrogen is a female sexual hormone. And this enzyme, depending on which temperature it's exposed to, changes the molecular structure of one to another. And so most fishes have precursor cells that that have both potential of either developing into male sexual organ or female sexual organ. And when the hormone is available, depending on which hormone is most prevalent in their body, which is affected by temperature, they change their gender. So that's how it works. But what's the magnitude of this effect? So how deeply or how largely are they affected? A couple of researches shows us how it is. So according to a 2008 study on more than 50 fishes, both freshwater and saltwater, temperature difference of just 1 to 2 degrees Celsius can skew the gender ratio of fishes from 1-to-1 male-female ratio into 3-to-1 male-to-female ratio. So take a moment and imagine how it would be like if half of the girls you knew suddenly turned into a dude because the weather's too hot. That'll be pretty tough. It'll cause them many problems. But that is what's happening in the nature within fishes. So why, yeah, it sounds like a problem, but why is it actually a big problem? Like what kind of consequences does it bring? Well, skewed gender ratio deter the proper reproduction, and when reproduction doesn't operate properly, it means you get less variation, because less reproduction means less variation. And when you have less variation within species, they're less likely to be able to successfully adapt when there is a drastic change in their environment. And of course, when they can't adapt, they might go extinct if that continues over many generations. And this is not only a problem for fishes, but also other aquatic species that we care deeply about. And one of them is sea turtle. Yeah, so their embryos and their eggs, their babies, they're very vulnerable. They're very deeply affected by temperature, and their embryo development requires some specific condition in regards to temperature. And when these conditions are not met, embryos might not develop fully or hatch, and it might die out. And even if they hatch, there's a high potential that offsprings will have a skewed gender ratio like it did in the fish species. So yeah, it is a big problem. So, oh no. Let's quickly go through what I just said, a lot of contents before I suggest a couple of the things that what we might be able to do. So there's a large variation in fishes. They also have these variations in their gender system. They're very flexible with their gender. And the reason for that is because they're affected by temperature rather than chromosome for their gender determination. And our anthropogenic phenomenon, which is climate change, is changing temperature. And when temperature changes, their gender ratios are skewed, and that means less reproduction, less variation, no adaptation, and maybe extinction. So what could we do? What should we do? We should think. We should think before we act, that's what I mean. So we should think before we turn on AC for being a little bit hot. Or we should think before we get onto a car for a 5-minute ride to supermarket. We should think before we buy unnecessary stuff that we don't need. We should think before we vote if we're choosing a right candidate. Are they gonna act against climate change? There are these many things that we can do to act against climate change. Little actions that will have a big impact. So I'm gonna end up the presentation with the oh no, oh no. Yeah, end of the presentation with a great quote from Baba Diem. He's a Senegalian forest minister from a long time ago. And he said, In the end, we will conserve only what we love, we will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. Thank you.
Okay, next we're gonna have Corinna and Riley come up and do our thank yous.
Hi everyone. So I'm pretty sure this marks the end of our presentations. But just before we go into booth time, we wanted to go ahead and say our thanks for everyone that has helped us throughout this term. So we have some thank you cards and some thank you plaques that we will hand out. We want to go through those. Oh, also, probably a lot of people who we're going to hand these out to aren't here, so we'll just put those aside for now. This is for Outward Bound Oman. I don't think they're here.
Seems that all of the labels have fallen off.
Okay, we'll go on with the thank you cards for now. We have Malinka. From Outward Bound, not here. Faisal.
From CM1.
From CM1.
He's not here, but I'll accept it on his behalf.
Azan. Yusuf and Mohammed from Outward Bound. Nash.
Also from CM1.
Darcy. Ibtihaj. Abdullah.
He's a driver. He's a driver from.
I'll accept on his behalf.
Amen?
Amen.
Man.
Just left. I'll accept on his behalf.
Debbie.
I'm busy.
Consultant school.
Debbie consultant school. Oh, okay. Alyssa? Couldn't make it. Sam.
Sam.
Oh, he was here.
Save him.
And Bassam?
Bassam, driver from CM1.
Can you see if any of those has
I'll accept it on his behalf.
Now for plaques.
Okay, now back to plaques. This is for our transport company. To the Sultan School. Thank you. On the Wood. Woo! To Wanasa Hotel, where we've been staying. To Oman Sail.
On their behalf. Thank you.
To Ibtihaj.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Ibtihaj is our wonderful
wonderful graphic artist teacher. She's wonderful.
She's amazing.
And we have a card for Sam. Samir.
Samir.
Woo! Sorry about that. Okay, and that's all for our presentations.
Oh, we have 2 bags, just
Oh,
kidding.
sorry. And this is for Chitty and Wiam, who have been our hosting specialists. Now that's the end of the presentations for this term, and I'll hand you back to the MCs.
All right, so next up we have the wonderfully talented Charlotte singing a song for us.
I've learned to lose, you can't afford to. Tore my shirt to stop you bleeding, but nothing ever stops you leaving. Quiet when I'm coming home, I'm on my own. Oh, I could lie and say I like it like that, like it like that. Oh, I could lie and say I like it like that, like it like that. She knows too much already. I'll only hurt you if you let me. Call me friend, but keep me closer. And I'll call you when the party's over. Quiet when I'm coming home, I'm on my own. I could lie and say I like it like that, like it like that. Oh, I could lie and say I like it like that, like it like that. But nothing is better sometimes. Once we've both said our goodbyes, let's just let this go. Let me let you go. Quiet when I'm coming home, I'm on my own. I could lie and say I like it like that, like it like that. I could lie and say I like it like that, like it like that.
Can't really follow that.
Gotta sing your speech.
Sure. Maybe dance. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Perfect.
just wanted to say thank you to all the students for all of the hard work and effort that you've put, not only in these presentations, but also the booths that we're about to see now and check out. Thank you to our hosts, especially Oman Sale, Sultan School, Ibtihaj, Wanasa, and of course, On the Wood for feeding us. It's been an amazing term. We've learned so much from all of you and all of the experiences that we have had. A specific and a huge thank you goes to all of your educators who have been not only putting up with you 24/7, but teaching you and all the other good stuff that we do on a daily basis. So thank you for constantly sacrificing your time to support our students and being there for them. We're very proud of all of your work this term and this whole year. So congratulations. Enjoy the rest of the night.
So just real quick, there's food back there through those doors. Otherwise, you can check out the booths that are along that strip back there. The students should be there so you can ask them questions and figure out what it is they've been doing this term. Thank you.
Yes. Shall we?
I didn't watch it through the screen because I sit there.
Really?
Someone if you on the screen before about
Thank you.
I did.
Hi.
Hello, how are you enjoying today?
It was amazing. You guys did amazing work. I learned so much from you, someone, about fish. I don't know if I'll ever recover.
I'm glad. That was an amazing singing. Thank you so much. Thanks. Enjoy your night. You too. How are you enjoying tonight?
Very great. No, I think the everything was pretty damn sweet.
What is your biggest takeaway from Oman?
Biggest takeaway from Oman, I think, is I think I just didn't realize just how much it had to offer, especially under the ocean. It's just incredibly beautiful.
I agree.
Everyone out there, you need to come here and see it for yourself.
I agree. So, hello.
Oh, hi.
Yes. How are you enjoying tonight?
I loved it. I was coming to tell you I really, really enjoyed your presentation.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, I didn't know that climate change and gender and sea animals were a thing. And
Yeah,
I'm excited to actually stop using straws.
That's a good start. So we're gonna look into different booths, personal project booths.
You did really good. You did really
Hey, hello. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Harry and I'm in my senior year. So
Cool.
today I present to you the Chameleon. And
Chameleon.
Yeah, so this is our website, and in here you can see what our logo and what our motto is for. It's Art Changing Moments, and we aspire to embody our school community and involve them by submitting our newsletter pieces and what we've done and worked on so far.
Okay, so Chameleon is like a magazine or newsletter, or what is it?
We are a newsletter, and we plan on a term basis. So every term we decide to publish on our works. So as you can see here, this is our work from Greece. So every term we have an edition where there are many submissions about such as the arts, current events, host events, so etc. And we use those, and we decide to broadcast them and display them across so that people know what every term students are up to and what kind of work they've displayed across the entire term.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's me.
That is you. You were the student spotlight.
Nice. Great job. Keep it up.
No, I work extra smart, so I can only 3 days.
Hello. Can you introduce a little bit about yourself and the booth that you're?
So I'm Justin. I'm a junior at TGS. Well, personally, I'm working on an app to help the school with Cullen. So look for that at the next showcase, or sorry, at the symposium.
Yes.
So this is our booth on sustainable marine tourism in Oman.
Sustainable marine tourism.
Yeah, that's right. So our module was scuba diving. So this is a weight belt. So you put it around your waist, and because salt water is especially buoyant, you need these to weigh you down so you don't float to the surface and rupture your eardrums, which is a very sadly and scarily kind of something that can happen if you don't do things properly, like boom, equalizing
Nice. What can people experience in your booth?
Well, so we've created a website, as we said in our presentation, and we're trying to get that set up right now. So here we've got our website. So you can see the different sections of Oman. You can see our little intro video, which, wait, can I see this for a sec? Sowen made.
Yay!
So here's our website. So we have some basic information on the start, and then by navigating the tabs on the top and by navigating down lower in the website, you can reach all places in the website and learn about how to be a sustainable marine tourist and why you should choose Oman, which is our website name.
I see. So when you click each of these videos, what do you get to experience? What's there?
Well, first of all, you get to see a cool video of a specific animal. So, for example, right now what we're seeing is the turtle. Then, if you click on it, you can get directly to the page, like a brief description of the turtle and its niche, which is how it lives, how it functions in the economy, how it reproduces, and sorry, not the economy, the coral reef economy.
Yes. Nice.
So be sure to check that out when you're browsing our website.
Nice job.
We'll be sending it out soon. Well, I can't take the credit. I have to give it to the design team. They spent a lot of time on this, making this incredible website.
I see. Thank you. Thank you for your introduction.
How does this work?
Hello, guys. Hello. Can you guys quickly introduce yourself and about a little bit about your booth? Unless I'm interrupting your food time.
Oh no, that's okay. Perfect. Okay. So we run a podcast named Queries. By Charlotte and Jess. It's about. Do you wanna explain? Yeah. I talked a lot. So basically, we want to look into stories of people that might not be heard in the mainstream media. Like we're trying to find niches that people might overlook. So for instance, we chose the name Queries because the word queer is it represents something different, something strange. So we're querying the queer. So what we looked into in Oman was we tried to look into feminism or rather women's empowerment and just get a feel example for how women are treated in this certain country in the Middle East. So that's what our podcast is about. You can listen to it. There's a QR code. I don't know if you can get a QR code over the live stream. We'll be posting links and stuff all over. It's on SoundCloud. Our website though is called Queries Podcast. Yeah, podcast queries. QueriesPodcast.com. QueriesPodcast.com. Spelled like that. There's nothing on it, but it's coming soon.
Aha. Nice job. Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alicia. Hello.
Hi.
Can you introduce us to a little bit about yourself and your project that you're doing?
Okay, so my name is Kian and I'm from Vietnam. And this is my mastery project. It's a series of green travel guides ebooks in the 3 locations that we're going to be staying, which is Shanghai, Muscat, and Nosara in Costa Rica.
Nice.
So my personal project is going to focus on the environmental issues of those in those cities, and after that I'm going to link it to global applications. So if you take a look, in Oman I have come up with one of the problem is the heat, because a lot of people in Oman get heat shock. So I also link it to climate change, because if climate change go worse, then the heat in here is gonna go worse. So this is why when I research about this topic, I also research about the climate change and what not to do and what not to do to not further worsen the climate change, as well as which is gonna ease Oman's heat problem. And also I'm going to be researching about the laws. For example, in this Shanghai ebook, I have included here mostly about the laws, so that travelers can get a quick hand of what's the environmental law in the city in order to comply and find alternative things. For example, if the city says no plastics, then I suggest having your sustainable bag or sustainable water bottles and that. Also, I'm going to be taking a look into other things like what's the cultural activity, a traditional one, because I know in Shanghai they don't allow firework for the New Year's Eve, which is I'm trying to find alternatives to that, how could you find alternatives to firework, but still also trying to make yourself as sustainable as possible, so you still can experience the full Chinese tradition. So I have my first draft, which I'm still going to be working on a lot of my Shanghai ebook. And in Oman, I've been working on a bunch of research. During the break, I'm going to be taking a graphic design course in order to effectively create an ebook for that.
Cool. Are you planning on publishing to a general public
Yes,
in the future? Cool.
I am looking into publishing it into Wattpad, which is a place where a writer can publish their work there. And I think that's a very great forum and media for that.
Nice. Thank you for introducing your project. Hello.
Hi.
Can you introduce yourself a little bit and your amazing project?
Yeah, I'm Riley. I'm from Seattle in the US. I really like sharks, and in China there's a big shark finning issue which is causing a near extinction of sharks, and so I decided to focus on that and the 2 countries leading, which is Oman and Costa Rica. So I made a sarcastic, satirical magazine that at first look seems like it's against sharks, and it's trying to kind of preach the death of sharks, but once you read into it further, you kind of realize that actually it's a big problem, and I'm kind of making fun of it.
Nice job on your project. Thank you for letting us know about it. Hello, Max.
Hello. I'm here
Okay. Family, friends, people that are watching.
Okay, can you introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Maxim Sindel.
Okay, not this one, but
Not this one. He
Not
looks similar, I know, but like the curls are the big curls are the difference, okay? So, I'm from Toronto, Canada. My name is Max. And I have basically, what I'm doing here is that I'm doing a mastery presentation. My mastery project, which is basically like, you don't know what this is basically like your big project. So this is my big project, and what I'm doing is that I'm teaching, I created a drama curriculum, and now I'm teaching the students in Think Global School. Oh my goodness, that was loud. Don't worry
that
about
was our scuba gear. Sorry for that, guys.
Almost exploded. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Basically, it's I'm teaching the students at the school dramatic arts, and I kind of plan an entire curriculum, plan strategies for me to be successful as a teacher. And so now, at the showcase, I'm going to be teaching a lesson. I don't know if you can follow along or not, but it's going to be fun. It starts right now.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah, it's nice. I can go for the slides if you want.
Yeah, you can go through that.
So this is like we're looking at, and this is the first lesson, the first unit. So this is the actor's body on the stage. Yeah. Hello. Actor's body on stage. So let's go through it. So lesson goals. Read that. There we go. Types of stages. So there's a couple stages you can look at. I would explain this in depth, but I have a lesson like starting in a minute. But you guys can look at it. Look at the visuals. What blocking is. Blocking is just like where you stand on a stage, where you're supposed to be on the stage. So like downstage center is like very close to the audience, while upstage center is farther away from the audience.
Interesting.
Yeah. Blocking, these are some terms that you would use in dramatic, like in the art form of drama on the stage. So then there's different actors' body positions. So there's like here, there's 1/4. Basically, that's how you want to talk to the audience. Full front is like when you're trying to get attention to yourself from the audience. Number 3 is basically like talking to somebody else. 3 and then 3/4 is like sort of like a background character, and this is also sort of a background character, or to give significance to another character. Okay, usual position. So let's go to tableaus. What is a tableau? Tableau is a frozen picture that tells a story, and so when people come and we'll do a lesson, we're actually going to go and perform some of these tableaus, which will be super fun. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for.
No worries.
Thank you.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Three fingers, yeah? Right here.
This is our American Sign Language project by Ava.
Yeah, so I translated an Omani folktale into American Sign Language. So you can see a little bit of that. Just finishing up. And if people want to come by, I'll show them how to say their name in sign language.
Nice. Can you show us how to say your name? Your name?
My name? Okay,
Yes.
so I would say, hi, my name is ABA.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Nice work.
Thank you.
Thank you for introducing your project. Hello.
Hello.
Can you bring us through your project?
Oh yes, for sure. Okay.
Oh, before we get onto that, who are you? Can you introduce yourself?
Mark. I'm a student from Thailand, and this is my year 11. So this will be a really long project for me, lasting until I graduate. So this is really important to me.
Nice. So what is it about?
So back in Spain, Greece and Spain, 2 terms ago, we are learning about refugee crisis and the movement of people from the war-torn country into better places, into a more developed places. And one of our teachers that was with us last year, said a sentence that really got stuck with us. And that sentence is the whole inspiration of this for this project as a whole. So from back in Spain, we created this text-based game, which is basically what we are looking to create, but in a way smaller scale. But then, so this project is a successor of this project. So we're planning to create an RPG game.
Nice.
A few Japanese follower. This is a Japanese role-playing game. So I've had some research outlining the feasibility of this game as a learning tool, and we've also planned out our development, our 1 year and a half that we currently have. So as in the last 2 terms, we've done a lot of groundwork in documentation and budgeting. so that in Costa Rica from next term forward, we'll be able to go into full stream programming and world building. And so we'll be seeing this next year, this time hopefully.
Amazing. Hopefully we'll get to play your amazing game soon.
Soon, yes.
Thank you.
Hey again.
Wait. What are you doing, Harry?
So for my personal project, I decided to make my graphic novel, which is in English, as you can see, into Japanese.
It's truly English.
So now it's truly Japanese. As you can see, I decided to transcribe everything into Japanese, and that is to demonstrate my knowledge of kanji and utilizing the usage of the language so that I can demonstrate and, get credit.
And from what I know, you're a Japanese native speaker, right?
I would say that my proficiency is close to native level, although I have yet to reach the appropriate steps in terms of language proficiency tests. So I am aiming to work towards that by doing a personal project on it.
Wow. Sounds like a lot of hard work.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, hello there. Is that the live stream by any chance?
It is a live stream, so can you quickly introduce yourself and to your
I am Amelie Andreas. I'm from a bunch of places, but mostly America. And
mostly America, really?
I'm genetically mostly America.
Sure.
Stop judging.
Sure,
Okay.
cool.
Okay. So this is my project. Basically, I did a GOA filmmaking course. Here you can see my process journal, and over here you can see a couple of the films that I made. But essentially, what doing a GOA filmmaking course means is I participated in weekly forums. I participated in a week of film model. So every week I was creating a short little movie, which you can see playing here. There are QR codes here for you can't like click the QR codes, but you know that if you were here you could.
You can screenshot these QR codes if you're really interested.
Yeah, if you really care, you could screenshot it.
Yeah, but that is a pretty cool process portfolio. Are you planning on doing anything else to share it with the bigger world or something?
I'm glad that you asked. If you look on here, you can see my what next portion. So my next thing I'm going to do with this is all kind of providing research for my mastery project, which is going to be a documentary film entitled Behind the Plate. Basically, we want to show a little bit about this organization right here and what they're doing to kind of make the food that you eat something that's produced in a way that feels good to you. Yeah, so our final product, we're going to be creating a documentary short. The film is going to be made by another student. It's going to be filmed by Julia in Mexico and then edited by me in Costa Rica. And hopefully you'll be seeing this next showcase.
Amazing, can't wait for that. Thank you for your little talk. Hello there. Whose project is this?
Hi. My project.
Can you introduce yourself real quick?
Yes, I'm Maren. I'm from Germany, and this time I've been working on my Arabic culture project, which is an Omani culture project because we live in Oman. And yeah, I just tried to take everyday experiences that we had during our term here to write reflections and blog posts, and I've especially focused on religion because religion has been for myself an internal debate for a while, and I just wanted to take the opportunity of being in Oman to really find out more about why people believe and in what they actually believe. So yeah, this is one blog post that I've created, just about some of the notes and conversations that I had, because yeah, I've learned a lot from Omani locals this term, and I hope to write more blog posts. I have way more notes than this. This is just because I didn't have enough time.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your attention. We're just presenting a really short video over there. Can we just have everyone grouped there for our French personal project, and then you can look at whatever you want. I mean, by choice. Yeah.
Is it overruled?
No, it's another one.
You guys are showing
You're showing my video?
Oh,
Is this a live stream? Is this a live stream? Is this a live stream? Yay! Yes! Yay! Who are you? Who are you? Tell us.
She's the one who's going to be making the movie.
I wasn't prepared for this question. Oh. They didn't tell me that it will come in the chat. I'm Julia. I'm from Mexico.
Nice.
You're watching Disney. Hi, Mom. If you're watching this, I love you.
Aww.
Cute. And Grandma.
And Grandma. Yeah.
And CM2.
And CM2.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so this is just a short trailer for a long-term project we're working on. It's our project for Alicia's French class that she's teaching. She's like an amazing teacher. And the students are I, Ella, and Lily White, but she's not here today with us. We're basically making a movie, the genre film noir, and basically it's a mystery, and it's a story about 3 girls and the odd relationship that they have. So this is a trailer. Any feedback, very welcome. Thank you. The movie will be coming out on March 5th. Yes.
We know where.
The cinema. In your Google Drive.
Je suis une de 3 filles. Nous sommes meilleures amies. Voici Lou, la fille de mes rêves, la fille qui peut tout faire avec. Nous arrive que vous n'oublierez jamais. Je vais vous raconter un secret. Je suis amoureuse d'elle. Et je sais qu'elle me vaut aussi. Il y a une autre fille qui s'appelle Céleste. Elle est tellement drôle. Elle prend tout à la légèreté. Nous sommes une équipe parfaite. Et quand nous sommes ensemble, c'est comme si l'on pouvait faire n'importe quoi. Ensemble, pour l'éternité. L'éternité. Je le sais, toujours ça. Mais maintenant, une fille est morte. Pourquoi?
They killed their lover.
I'm just gonna. Yeah, that is our snack table.
Dates are
Okay,
good.
two
Those dates are good. Those dates are good too.
This beef is not as good.
That will give you diabetes.
Diabetes.
Yeah.
Yum.
That's good though. Hummus and beef.
Hummus and beef. What?
Oh,
They're deserving. They're very deserving. Dude, you gotta do a nature documentary style. Here you can see the TGS student.
In their natural habitat.
Oh no, but as a wild hairy approaches,
Munching.
you can see a wild hairy snacking on his hand.
This is my lowest moment, and now it's on the live stream. Thanks so much.
Everything, including food.
The standard food at TGS is on the wood,
I love
hummus,
food.
bread, very nutritious.
We have officially decided to change our catering company to On the Wood, so in all future countries, we're only going to have On the Wood.
We're gonna have to import it.
We're actually
It might
taking
be
the
a
whole
little bit
business
cold,
with
but that's
us.
the price that you pay. 'Cause this is really good food.
We're shutting down cohort 2, so bye guys.
Whoa! We are no.
It's only just to bring On the Wood to us, so it's traveling on the wood as well. Sorry guys. It had to be done.
World's first traveling restaurant. We wish.
Congratulations, guys.
We can do it later. Oh, who's on?
Yo, son, how many viewers we got over there?
8.
That's so many.
Hello. And 2 of them are my mom.
2 of them are mad.
I already said my goodbyes to you.
It's me, my friends, my
Hola. Who's looking at us?
Oh, sorry.
You a shout out. No, don't show my face.
Hi. Hello. So yeah, that was our lovely snack table.
Hi. All right, so see you then. It was lovely.
Hey there. Yo. What's up? What's your name?
My name is Ina.
Where are you from?
I'm from
Russia.
I'm from Kosovo.
Russia?
Not in Russia.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. That's it. Full stop. End it there.
Questions you would have are about scuba diving. Right now, if you're ready for
Hey, son.
Hey.
Can you come a little bit later?
Sure.
Go to Chronos first and then.
This one is the last one.
Last one?
Yeah, like the last.
We're Chronos.
So Starbucks. Very, very opposite.
Exactly. This is
our vision is in the past tense. Our vision is to have
That is
created, not to
amazing.
create.
So what are you guys doing?
Got it. I'll write that down.
Might want to explain to her what you're doing.
So we are Chronos, and we are a team who are determined to make your coffee habits more sustainable and ethically faultless.
How do you
And
make something more ethically faultless? Isn't that an absolute category? You're either ethically faultless or you're
Let's
not.
not get into that.
Can you be
Jared.
partially ethically faultless?
we're making a step towards being ethically
No,
faultless.
we're gonna
No,
make
no, no.
the
to
world
your- no, look,
ethically
look.
faultless.
The problem is that you do not understand.
The full
extent
so
of being
what we want to do is
So we're
basically
gonna help-
educate the consumer about the impact that they have on the coffee industry when they're purchasing their coffee. And by doing so, we have created an app. These are currently the design boards of the app, which we've been working on this term. The whole idea is that there's going to be a map with a bunch of cafes on it, and we're going to educate the audience by giving them sustainability rankings out of 3 stars. Each star represents a different definition of sustainability for us, and the max that you can get is 3 stars. So the first one is environmental sustainability, the second one is social sustainability, and the last one is the special Chrono star for any cafe that goes above and beyond. For example, implementing an education initiative, or like creating
creating their own takeaway cup, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what we're doing. The idea is that in Costa Rica, we're going to actually transfer this version to a coded version for the TGS community to actually start using, since we are such a high coffee consuming culture. We have such a high coffee consuming culture. And also to create a pitch deck to pitch to investors so that we can get the funds to make this bigger and hopefully go global to make a real impact.
Nice!
Thank you. Of course, look out for Kronos.
You might want to emphasize even more. Like, I don't know about the points thing, but definitely university students want to have comparison. I've been drinking coffee for 15 months.
Okay, so that's what I do. Let me explain the live stream.
Or can I like reserve something and like get it later?
Actually,
I'm trying to bargain here.
Yeah. I really don't know the answer to that.
Okay. What's the question? So since I'm leaving in a couple of hours.
Yeah, cool. This is Sarah. Yeah. Look at our logo. Look at our logo again.
Who are you first?
Oh, I thought they would know me. My name is Barbara Shashlia and I'm from Bosnia.
Nice. So what are you doing? What's your project? Looks amazing.
Yeah. We made a little business, me and 5 more people. I'm in charge of marketing. That's why I'm at this booth. So we usually work with other artists and we try to have workshops with them. So you can see some of our paintings down here. Usually we we meet the artist, we meet their story, and then we try to sell their story and their products. We also, when we buy everything from them, try to up the price just by a little bit, so we can just keep this business going in a loop. So all the profit we make goes to a different artist that we might find in the next term. So here's some of the stuff that we have from Sophia. We have some shirts. Then we have a really cool notebook.
Really cool.
Really cool.
Is that actually really cool? She like.
And then we have all of these cards. Wait.
Kind of like graphic.
Nice. That's so amazing.
We have the prices right there and our little editor logo also. And then at the so like
thanks.
It's literally 2015 right now, and I'm standing in a hut house with no running water and no electricity. And I thought, what would it be like in 50 years in the future? What would the future of Lao be like? And so this film came to mind, and it's a film really about how so much can change, but at the same time, at the core, a lot of the essence of Lao doesn't change, as well as human nature. A lot about humans just don't change. I didn't want to tell any stories through film, actually. I wanted to tell a story on stage, dancing tutu and tiara. But
hey Adnan!
What's up?
How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
How are you enjoying tonight? What's your impression?
Absolutely amazed with the amount of work and the quality of work you guys have done. Good job.
Nice. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.
I'll own that. Let's see what other
Hey!
Hey!
What's up?
What's up? How are you?
I am good. Do you know who I am?
We don't, so you have to tell it.
I am Sam.
Uh-huh.
I'm an educator at Think Global School.
Uh-huh.
This time I was working with Belonging in Oman.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, what else would you like to know?
I mean, is that the most interesting fact about yourself?
The most interesting fact about myself is the fact that I'm interesting.
Oh, wow.
I am a musician.
You are a musician.
I'm an artist, and I encapsulate the word artist.
Wow.
So that's probably the most interesting thing about myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like your outfit.
Yes, this I had made. This is a dish dasher. This is a typical Omani outfit. And everyone thinks I'm Omani. Apparently I look Omani. I wonder why. But I had it made.
Uh-huh.
I had this made and I bought this. Had to get measured for it. Even though it's loose, they still had to measure and
Wow.
have it fit a certain way. But I really like it. It's one of my favorite colors.
Yeah, looking good.
Thank you.
Enjoy your night. Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You are Oman still?
Yemeni citizen.
Yemen?
Yeah.
You're Yemen? Oh.
Sí que me gustaría hacer una profesora de yoga que inculcara un poco esa visión.
They counted.
I miss Lily Y. If you're watching, I miss you so much.
We miss you.
Yeah, your song is amazing. That's a perfect project. I know. Most people don't know that. Okay, I'm great. So, let's see here. What went wrong with this?
You can also like, you can like write your email time. Yeah, that'll be right. Oh, that's good. Yeah. But yeah, so like for our next time it will be like we'll actually start producing stuff. And we have like some demo to show, and like we'll also start like something like next year. In around like 5 years, we'll start doing that. And then like when the time comes, I'll be like content creator. So if you like,
Which project is this? What is this?
You know, sure.
This is from Belonging.
Yeah, it will be like some serious project. And in this case, like the wonderful. So if you yeah, video games are like, you know, kids things.
This is Zaki.
Yeah, I saw it.
Like we need to make it
Next page? That looks a lot like Zaki.
Yeah. Yoina, you have a message from your dad. What does he say? He wants you to bring 5 kilos of hummus, 2 kilos of dates, and something else. Cool.
guys are good? You guys are feeling good about it? No, I got some ideas.
No idea what's doing my body.
Why don't you guys
Yeah, I didn't know until 4 days ago.
So I'm like there's one piece
I think the difficulty is doing so in such like a short amount of time, but if they did it for children, so like teach children about blogging in Oman.
Wait, you have the
Then,
podcast
like, you
on the
have a very
website?
different
Oh,
paradigm.
the podcast.
Oh,
Okay. We have the website and the podcast.
Wait, why don't you? Like monks almost came across like that, and they're kind of like.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Ella.
Hi, Mom. My mom isn't watching.
Hey, Paula. Is this your booth?
It's a newsletter, like a million booth.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to hear about it?
It's the first booth that we interviewed, but we can hear about it again.
Oh, none of you already know about it. Oh, I think we're doing the closing ceremony now, though.
Oh.
You already heard about it. Follow it on Instagram.
Your presentation was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for informing us.
I tried. I went in. I said,
Stop following me.
This is the beginning of a circle. Beginning of a circle? Yes.
We can make it till the end.
She's gonna film us as we stand here. Did you film the mosaic thing? We did. I mean, I did. You did. Good job. Very professional of you.
Great showcase. The term is over. ACT, here we go.
You see, I told you this was the beginning of a circle. Oh yeah, it is actually.
You see, it's slowly becoming a circle.
It is.
Dance to the live stream. Dance to the live stream.
Don't you remember that video when like when the third person starts doing something, everybody else follows? That's what we're doing right
Exactly what just happened.
We're forming a circle out of nothing.
I love it.
Forge from the death.
Forge. Maybe if I cast a spell like this, people will understand what I'm
So have you been introducing your projects? No, well I don't have a
I know. Look at
You
this.
had a really cool
So
presentation. Do you want to talk about that?
People are just
Yeah, I'm so much taller. Great! That makes me feel great. No.
You might have this.
Yeah, I had a cool presentation. How did it go? I think it went really well. Maybe could you? Yeah. What did you learn? I'm glad you learned something.
Oh no, the customers already have.
Yeah, she's watching. Yeah, I know. What did I learn? So many cool things. I have no idea. You can swim at a hut. That's awesome, right? Yeah, and also like temperature. Wow, that must suck. So how long have you been working on this project? I got a random idea of studying exotic discipline at the end of China. So I looked into many different things like geology and then geobiology and geobiochemistry. And then I ended up looking into zoology and all the evolution related things. Pretty cool. Like, did you feel like your mind? Yeah, it's a really mutually helpful combination. Hello.
Okay, listen, full moon is
one is.
Oh, really?
It's stress.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Who's watching?
Some people.
Wow.
Six of
Probably
them.
my dad.
Yeah, it is your dad.
Hi.
Hey, say hi to Ina's dad.
Hi, Ina's dad. Oh, hi. How's Narcos going?
He's watching it too. He's watching Narcos next door.
Yes. Oh no, he wasn't watching Narcos.
So we're forming a ceremonial circle now.
Circle, circle.
Gareth, get the circle.
Gareth, get in the circle.
That our morning circle.
Yeah, dude, this actually looks like a circle.
Oh, sir. Saws.
Cool, can I sit here?
Sit in the circle.
Hello, everyone. So that was a pretty successful showcase.
Hey.
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
We have fairy lights. What more can we say? Yeah. We wanted to start off with Adnan saying a little something.
Can't hear you.
We wanted to start off with our lovely Adnan saying something.
Why is it not focusing?
She did.
Too dramatic.
One of the things I was going to say tonight, but I didn't, in kind of to save us some time. The Holy Quran says that we were created in different nations, different cultures, different tribes, so that we can get to know one another, so that we can learn from each other. And this is what our school is about. And you have been doing an amazing job of learning from each other, but also learning from our hosts, and in particular this term, from Omanis that you met in the randomest places, in the streets, taxis, desert, our friends from Oman Sail, Sultan School, Ibtihaj, our host city specialists. Everyone has left a mark on you. And we obviously spend so much time with each other and have left a mark on each other. So as you start, especially the seniors, to prepare to, go into the world, take those lessons with you. Remember that we are here to learn from each other. And if you take that into the world with you, you'll learn and experience so many positive things. One person I forgot to mention tonight in my
Thank you.
fake news is this guy right here, JB, who had the vision of this school becoming what it is right now. So thank you for letting us mess it up, letting us play around and try